Trail bikes are the perfect companions for adventurers who crave versatility and performance on varying terrains. Designed to handle everything from technical climbs to thrilling descents, these bikes strike the ideal balance between efficiency and fun. Whether you're a seasoned rider seeking an upgrade or a beginner looking to conquer your first trail, finding the right bike can transform your outdoor experience. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the best trail bikes of 2025, featuring cutting-edge technology and impressive range that will transform the way you ride. Buckle up and let's dive into the latest and greatest in trail bikes. Number 5. Mondraker Raze Carbon RR. Mondraker's Raze is a lightweight mid-travel trail steed with a 150mm travel fork, 130mm shock, and Mondraker's sleek aesthetic. The RR version gets full Fox factory suspension monitored by its unique Mind telemetry system. With a lightweight frame, a slightly compliant, conforming rather than rigidly harsh feel, and the Raze Carbon RR feels inspiringly alive and responsive on the trail, never rabid or rowdy. The Mind system gathers suspension and ride data and sends it to a smartphone app. This allows you to study how your suspension performed over a ride and tune it accordingly. You also get detailed telemetry on your performance, which you can properly geek out on, if that's your thing. In his review, Guy remarked, "Despite so many bikes following much of Mondraker's pioneering geometry lead, it has managed to keep its signature ride character deliciously distinctive. The light, lithe, perfectly imbalanced suspension of the Raze RR makes it a proper chef special, in terms of accentuating that agility and inherent skill gifting to the maximum." For more info on this tech-packed bike, check out our full Mondraker Raze Carbon RR review. Number 4. Norco Optic C2. The Norco Optic C2 is well established as a great setup for good time riding, so it's no surprise that this bike feels sorted as soon as you grab hold of the grips. What stood out when we test rode it is the way the Optic feels absolutely spot on from geometry to shock tune. As soon as we started riding, the Optic began offering rich communication between bike and rider. Norco has bumped up the high-speed compression and given the bike plenty of low-speed compression progression that gobbles up stutter bumps, roots rocks, and debris, whilst race-inspired shock tunes will reward warp speed. Beyond the excellent geometry and chassis dynamics, the component spec is superbly pitched to flatter the feel and capability. It's practical, well-priced, and even the cheaper bike still packs all the play essentials into the package if you're working with a tighter budget. Mick Kirkman summed up the latest Optic C2 in his review. With sublime rear suspension, the Optic is still one of the best down-country bikes around. Less carbon parts for more dash and a swap from sorted Schwalbe to vague Vittoria tires mean the kit list isn't as good value as previously, but the Optic C2 spirit still shines through. Number 3. Santa Cruz Tallboy GX AXS RSV. Now on its 5th iteration, the latest Tallboy gets a new frame with longer, slacker geometry, 473mm reach on a large, a lower slung shock that now moves through the seat tube, and Santa Cruz's glovebox internal storage. The bike is a peerless example of why you don't need tons of suspension travel to have a riot on the trails. A well-tuned Fox Performance Elite, Fox's second-tier suspension, pairing of a 130mm 34 fork and 120mm rear travel from a float shock provide enough shock absorption to get you through the majority of trails out there. Though, like our test pilot, you'll likely find yourself needing to ride outside your comfort zone if you're hitting bigger stuff. The components are almost excellent across the board. Highlights are the Reserve 30 SL Carbon with DT Swiss 370 hubs and wireless SRAM T-Type GX Eagle AXS transmission. However, during testing, Mick Kirkman found that despite being of the 4-piston variety, the SRAM level silver brakes were underpowered for the speeds this bike is capable of. Mick summed up the bike. The Tallboy 5 is a bit of a modern classic and one of the fastest and most versatile short travel trail bikes about. Number 2. Merida 146,000. Our technical editor, Guy Kesteven, seriously rates this shorter travel 140mm travel trail bike that's already picked up a bunch of awards from other testers in the industry too. He's also rave-reviewed Merida's longer travel, higher cost 168,000 and reckons it's one of the best enduro mountain bikes available. Whatever size you opt for, they're all extremely roomy for their size, with our test bike measuring 480mm. That gives you plenty of room to maneuver and helps give a planted feel on the trail. The 150mm Marzocchi Bomber Z1 fork gives a supple front end, but in its default trim, it ramps up at the end of the stroke in a very similar way to the 143mm Travel RockShox Deluxe Select Plus at the rear, so any ugly landings are tidied up neatly once the shock stamper is dialed in. Flex stays, rather than pivots. Add rear end extra flex too. A super steep 80-degree seat angle and high level of traction from a naturally ground tracking rear end combined with a mid-length stem and 65-degree head angle combo stops the bike from feeling too floppy when you're winching the bike upwards. Add an efficient, seated pedaling feel, and you can climb up ridiculously steep, technical upslopes when you're walking or want an uplift on a lot of bikes. The only big drawback is the 140's weight, which comes in at around 500 g more than comparative rivals. In his full Merida 146,000 review, Guy summed up the bike as one that packages radical, hard riding geometry, smooth suspension plus wheel and travel change potential and a lot of neat features with super solid, good value kit. It's on the hefty side though, and the seat angle might not agree with everyone. Number 1. Santa Cruz 5010 GX AXS RSV. Santa Cruz has tweaked a great deal for the latest 5010, which is now in its 5th incarnation. With 130mm of rear suspension, the 5010 fits in the travel and use gap between the Ballier Santa Cruz Bronson and the sprightlier Tallboy, which also features in this guide. The new 5010 frame gets a geometry-adjusting flip chip and Santa Cruz's handy glove box, internal storage on the down tube. The head angle is 65.2/64.9 degrees, depending on which geo setting you choose, which is ideal for this breed of bike. What hasn't changed is the 5010's rapid and rabid riding character, though the latter has been tempered somewhat from the wilder previous version. Spec-wise, the build gets a RockShox suspension combo of a 140mm Pike Select Plus fork up front and 130mm Super Deluxe Select Plus shock. The drivetrain is SRAM's wireless GX AXS, though it's the older version, not the latest T-Type transmission. Brakes also come from SRAM with 4-piston G2 RS with 200/180mm rotors. Everything runs on the excellent Reserve 3 HD carbon rims on industry 911 hubs shod with Maxxis Minion DHR2 triple compound tires, with a Max Grip 29 by 2.4 inches up front and Maxterra 27.5 by 2.4 inches at the rear. For more on the bike, see the full Santa Cruz 5010 GX AXS RSV review from Guy Kesteven, but here's his verdict. The new 5010 is a bike that makes you feel like an absolute hero when you point it down your favorite tech trail and let it rip. And that sounds a lot like the definition of the best handling trail bike to me. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, leaving a comment, and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you never miss out on our latest videos.